Hi, I am Nicky Clements, and in this video I'm going to show you the best way to eat 4 Oreos. But before I show you, I think we need to do a bit of research, collect some data, because otherwise how would we actually know if it's the best? Now, any good scientific testing starts with the control. 1 double stuffed Oreo, as it is, right out of the package. I mean, it's fine. It's an Oreo. It's quite dry for my taste. I'm not really that big on crunchy cookies. If they came out with a chewy Oreo, that would be incredible. But as it is, it's decent. It's an Oreo. Now, if you are a bit like me and you find Oreos to be a bit on the dry side, there is of course a very easy solution to that. All you need is a fork, stab your Oreo through the middle, and dunk it in your milk. Now that, I would say, is uncomparably better than just eating a dry Oreo. Now, I have no doubt that there are dozens of other ways to eat an Oreo, but there's only one other method that I want to add to our data set, and I think it is probably the strangest, and that would be easy cheese. If you take an Oreo and put easy cheese on it, it tastes like cheesecake. It is bizarre. It is so bizarre. And while I'll say it is definitely better than just eating a plain Oreo, I do not think it beats just dipping it in some milk. It is just too weird. But if you're regularly putting easy cheese on your Oreos, who am I to judge? Do what makes you happy.
Honorable mentions: the reverse stuffed, the double stuffed, the triple stuffed, the quadruple stuffed, and the octuple stuffed, which, let's face it, is just a mouthful of cream at this point, and nobody wants that.
The best way to eat 4 Oreos. Now, I originally saw this on TikTok, and that is if you take 4 Oreos, put them in the mug, add a bit of milk, throw it in the microwave, what comes out will be cake. And yeah, what is in here could be considered cake. And oh, by the way, you actually have to break up the Oreo. Just dropping them in there with a bit of milk isn't going to magically make cake. This isn't really what I would call cake, especially if you let it cool down. And even if you do get a consistency that resembles cake, it's just not good. It's gross. Maybe some microwave savant out there can make magical meals in a microwave, but there are very few things that I find a microwave is actually good at cooking. You know, soups and some pastas, Chef Boyardee and Hot Pockets and pizza rolls aside, stuff made in the microwave just isn't good. And if it's not good, what's the point in eating it? It's like saving 10 minutes just to cook it faster and have it taste worse. That, I don't know. But the fact that it did almost resemble cake made me think that if we just slow down a bit and cook it like you would actually cook a cake, maybe there's something to this. So with our 4 Oreos, I'm actually going to start by removing 2 of the creams. And I'll just set this aside. Now, a little later, we'll go over what different ratios actually produce, but For me personally, I think 2 creams and 8 cookies is a pretty good amount. Now these are easy enough to break up and you can do it in any number of ways, but if you have a slap chop or a similar device, it makes quick work of it. And that ought to do it. Now the next step, the TikTok instructions just say add some milk, but anyone trying this recipe, that's probably where it's going to go wrong because some milk is going to be way too much milk. I've found that for 4 Oreo cookies, 1 tablespoon is about the perfect amount, and even that might be too much. Now, if you're like me, looking at this, like there's no way that 1 tablespoon is going to be enough to wetten all of this stuff. But I am disproven every time because a little bit of stirring, and before you know it, we have something that is literally starting to look like cake batter, which is pretty crazy. Now this as is should probably work, but I've deviated away from the TikTok recipe quite a bit, and I like to add just maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of butter or margarine just to give it a bit of oil. And I like to add just a little bit of extra salt, but of course you can absolutely skip that step. And there we go. That is a relatively decent looking mixture. It's pretty crazy that it's just crushed up Oreos and some milk, but it definitely looks like some kind of cake batter or brownie batter. Now I have this nice, perfectly sized little ramekin, and instead of just putting the mixture directly in, we're just going to throw it in a cupcake cup. And just like you would a normal cake, we'll just give it a few taps to level it off. And now we're ready to cook it. Now again, you are more than welcome to try cooking this in a microwave. Be very careful, cook it in like 20-second bursts, and you're definitely going to want to cook it in something like a mug. If you try cooking it in something this short, you're gonna have a bad time. But I promise you, if you're willing to wait just 15 or 30 minutes, what you will get will be amazing. Now personally, I like baking it in the air fryer, this amazing device that has been sitting next to me the entire video. Now right away, if you don't have an air fryer, you can absolutely cook this in the oven. It just takes twice the amount of time. And I tested a side-by-side comparison and I really couldn't tell a difference. Maybe I liked the taste from the air fryer just a little bit more, but they were pretty much exactly the same. This guy will just get it done in 15 minutes and you don't have to fire up the entire oven. So if you've been at all considering getting an air fryer, I can highly recommend it. They are awesome. You will be throwing literally any kind of food you can find into it to see what it does. So let's do just that. We're gonna set it right in there, right in the middle. We're going to use the bake setting, which puts it at 325 degrees for 15 minutes, and start her on up. Now for the next 15 minutes, while we wait for this to cook, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor. Now it is actually quite a bit quieter when being used for baking. The fan runs a lot slower, that way it's not blowing a bunch of air on whatever batter you might have, splashing it all over the inside. So I think we can actually move on and I can show you some of my samples. Now these were all cooked in the oven. Up front are these 3, and this one is quite interesting. This was 8 cookies, no creams, and it makes a very dense cake, very much like a brownie. It's quite good, but it's quite dry. Now this one is 8 cookies and 2 creams, the same thing we have going on in here. It's much fluffier. and a lot more flavor. You can tell that this doesn't have the sugars from the cream. And that's why I think this one's kind of perfect, because as you can see, this one with 4 creams kind of went crazy. It's too much. It kind of falls apart. This is the first time I've seen it do this kind of volcano thing, but it doesn't have much structure. There's just too much of whatever's in the cream in there, and it can't hold itself together. It is really good. It's very rich, it's very moist. So I mean, if you want like a cupcake that you can actually hold, I'd go 2 creams. But if you don't really care what it looks like and you want something that kind of tastes incredible, maybe go 4 creams. Now these other 3, these are the first time I've tried them. I grabbed some of the white Oreos to see if they would work, and it certainly worked. I did 4 creams, and again, it's a little too crumbly to kind of hold itself together, but wow. The vanilla Oreo is, I don't know, I'm kind of a vanilla guy. That's pretty good. This one is lemon. I'm really curious if the lemon flavor made it. Oh wow. Definitely. That is straight up lemon. That is very good. This one is a peanut butter Oreo. Straight up peanut butter. That is really good. Wow, that one's intense. You cannot eat very much of that one. That is so sweet. Now, I'd call any one of these a success. I think that they taste incredible. I think that they absolutely taste better than the cookie that they started from. But of course, at this point, you're comparing cookies to cake, which is apples to oranges. But there is one more step. This one in particular is only 80% of our 4 Oreos, as we set aside the 2 creams. So what do you do with the creams? Well, you make yourself a one-way ticket to Diabetes Town. You put this in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes to soften it up, and then you frost it with the Oreo filling. It's crazy. This is an Oreo, and you bite into this, and you're gonna die. And again, that's why I think this ratio is the best, because it only takes 4 Oreos. You save the 2 creams for the frosting on top. This one, you have 4 creams. That's way too much frosting. This one, you don't have any frosting, so you have to use 2 more cookies. And then you just have 2 cookies that, what are you gonna do? Just eat them? That's gross. Was this the lemon? Yeah, the lemon frosting, the lemon cream on this one is gonna be mind-blowing, and peanut butter cream on that one is so good. And there it is. And there we go. That one came out perfect. So I think this is pretty awesome. I mean, why have a cookie when you can have a cake? If you think you know of a better way to eat an Oreo than this, I would love to hear it. And of course, there is still one lingering question. How well does this scale? Could we do an actual cake? Does my 4 cookie to 1 tablespoon ratio scale up proportionally? Is that something you want me to find out? Or better yet, do you want to try this for yourself? Either way, let me know down in the comments. But my sincere thank you for watching. Once again, I am Nick D. Clements. If you're wondering, Nick is short for Nicholas, and the D stands for diabetes. Anyway, I'm off to make something else. I got hair in my mouth.